Good evening, all. It's 7 p.m. This is a meeting of the Southfield Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered as a community meeting. There is an opportunity for public participation during the meeting, and comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. The board will listen to comments but may not respond during the meeting. If you wish to address the board, please raise your hand to be recognized when the meeting arrives at public participation. Roll call. Charles Hicks, Board President.
Daryl B. Joyce, Vice President.
Good evening, Leslie Love Smith Thomas, Board Secretary.
Ashanti Bland, Board Treasurer.
Amani Johnson, Board Trustee.
Trustee Rice.
It looks like Trustee Ware Duvall's signal went out for a second, but now I think she's back on.
Trustee Ware Duvall, if you can go ahead and acknowledge yourself.
Yvette Ware Duvall, Trustee.
Dr. Green.
Jennifer Green, Superintendent of the Southfield Public Schools. Taking minutes for this evening will be Ms. Laura Norris, and I am joined by several members of the Executive District Network team.
Okay. Just wanted to start the recording.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right, if you all don't mind, we'll alternate saying the Pledge of Allegiance because we should do that for every board meeting. And I figured if we all did it together, it'd be kind of sound a little crazy on video conference. So if you all could just say it either in your head or on mute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a special presentation on this evening. We have the swearing in of our 3 new trustees. So Dr. Green, that's your...
Actually, we are going to lean into one of our tech experts and virtual principals, Mr. Zarek Lake, to share that with us this evening.
Excellent.
If you could make him the presenter.
My name is Jolene Davis, and I'm the Chief Talent Management and Organizational Advocacy Officer. I am here on behalf of Southfield Public Schools to swear in our new trustees for the Southfield Public Schools Board of Education. Ms. Yvette Ware Duvall, please raise your right hand. Please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Yvette Ware Duvall,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of member of the board,
of the office of the member of the
the Board of Education
the Board of Education
of Southfield Public Schools,
of Southfield Public Schools,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Do you so swear?
I swear.
Congratulations, you have just been sworn in to be a board trustee on the behalf of the Southfield Public Schools.
Thank you very much.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I say your name,
I, Ashanti Bland,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of the member of the Board of Education
of the office of the member of the Board of Education
of Southfield Public Schools
of Southfield Public Schools
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear.
Congratulations, you have now been sworn in as a board trustee on behalf of Southfield Public Schools.
Thank you.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I say your name,
I, Amani Johnson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of the member of the Board of Education
the duties of the office of a member of the Board of Education
of Southfield Public Schools
of Southfield Public Schools,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear.
Congratulations, you have now been sworn in as a board trustee on behalf of Southfield Public Schools Board of Education.
Thank you, Mr. Lake, and congratulations to all of the new trustees. Let's give them one more round of applause. Next on the agenda, Board President, I would like to acknowledge not only our new trustees, but all of our trustees. January of every year is National School Board Recognition, and I would like to take this moment to thank each and every one of you for your hard work and dedication to the students, families, and staff of Southfield Public Schools. For you this month, you will each receive an individual certificate honoring your hard work and dedication. You will also see some social media posts acknowledging your hard work. It will be posted on our webpage, and I'm sure you will receive an abundance of calls from our stakeholders thanking you for your service. So thank you for all that you do relative to serving our children.
Thank you, Dr. Green, and thank you, community. I believe I can speak on behalf of the trustees that it's an honor and a privilege to serve the community in which we reside, and that we look forward to the new trustees working with us collaboratively to continually moving the district forward. Within our district, at the board level, the administration level, teachers, community, there's a variety of folk who are members of various Divine Nine organizations. And what those are the historically Black letter Greek organizations. And even though each organization has its uniqueness about each one, there's one thing that's common amongst them all, and that's service. And a lot of these resources within the district provide a lot of extra above and beyond the ordinary service to our students, which is our number one product as well as customer. And so in the month of January, 5 of those organizations celebrate their Founders Day. So Alpha Kappa Alpha, Kappa Alpha Psi, Delta Sigma Theta, Phi Beta Sigma, and Zeta Phi Beta all have founding days in the month of January. And so I just want to wish you all a happy Founders Day. Thank you for all that you do for the district and all that you will do continually. And we just appreciate you. Trustees, any other board matters at this time?
Board President, before you go on to board matters, might I just mention that we received a beautiful, well, you received a beautiful proclamation from the Oakland County Commissioners. I was looking at the attendee list to see if Commissioner Charles was on the list, and in hopes that she would read the proclamation, but I don't see her on the list. But I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge that the board received a beautiful proclamation, and it's mounted on a plaque which will hang in the board room at John W. English for years to come. As you know, we take pride in having that wall of accolades for our board members, so we will add that to it. It is signed by Commissioner Yolanda Smith-Charles, who recently left us to join the commissioners, and also Commissioner Janet Jackson. So I did not want another moment to pass without acknowledging their recognition.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. We're definitely appreciative of the already reach back to us to continually serve our district. So thank you, Commissioners Yolanda Smith-Charles and Commissioner Janet Jackson. We very much appreciate you. Trustees, anything for board matters? Anyone?
If I may, Board President?
Ma'am.
I just wanted to first thank all of the trustees on the board for having confidence in me and me being able to meet the expectations that I set forth by you all in the district as a board member. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to serve in this way. I am also very excited and looking forward to supporting all of our students, and in the district, and ensuring that they have my full and undivided attention, and making sure that any decision and all decisions that are made in their best interest. I thank you all, and again, good evening, and glad you all could be here.
Thank you.
Board President?
Ma'am.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. So I have just 3 things. One, I want to welcome our newest board members. I'm very excited about the contributions that you'll bring to our team. I'm really looking forward to working with you. I enjoyed our time together over the weekend for our board retreat, even though it was virtual. I'm looking forward to having more time together in that way, as well as I want to thank the staff who spent their weekend with us, their evening, and then their all-day Saturday with us, bringing us up to speed and just talking through our various areas of the district. I so appreciate you all go over and above in your normal work time and to extend yourselves in the evening and then on the weekend. It is to be acknowledged. And then also, Board President, I want to make you aware, as well as the other trustees, if you don't know, but the Winter Institute, MASB, did put out an email about that. I am planning to attend, so I will put the proper correspondence in place with Laura to get the registration fulfilled. It is in February. I see a couple of the new trustees are looking like, what? That's when we get those great CBAs, those training classes. Yeah, so look to your email for that. That did go out today. Thank you.
Board President, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
2 things, just to piggyback off of Secretary Smith's comments. Yes, thank you to the staff for such a wonderful weekend and spending your Friday evening and Saturday morning and afternoon with us. I also would like to let board and the administration and the community know that today I took place in a webinar from the MASB, and I'm sure Dr. Green will speak on this a little later, but the webinar was related to the new school-related guidelines, and I'm reading my notes here. The moderators were Brandy Johnson, who is Education Policy Advisor to Governor Whitmer, and Dr. Bajasarian, who is the Senior Public Health Physician at the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. And they went over a few things about the new recommendations and guidelines related to schools that were released by the state last week. A few of them. Next week, the state will open application submissions for districts interested in the school COVID testing program. The state will provide the tests, the training, and shipment of tests free of cost for districts. The testing is not a requirement for schools to return to learning. The pilot test of this program was conducted as a school sports testing pilot. It allows 7,000 student athletes and staff in 200 schools to safely participate in playoffs across the state. 99% of those tests came back negative. The teams were able to test 80 people per hour using 4 staff members. And the recommendation is that this testing protocol will be extremely beneficial to the special needs community. Of the 7,000 student athletes and staff, 43 positive COVID student athletes were uncovered. I know Dr. Green will speak more to this. I just wanted to make you all aware of the webinar that I attended today at noon.
So, Board President, would you like
Yes,
me to
ma'am.
address this now, or would you like me to address it later time?
I defer to you. Whenever you want to deal with it.
Since it's hot off the press, I think it would probably be more beneficial to address some of those points now. Superintendents have a number of concerns relative to this initiative. First and foremost, we are not medical doctors. We have PhD and EDD and JD and a number of other initials behind our name, but we are not MDs. So we are challenged with anyone asking us to administer medical tests to students in our school district. We are also concerned with liability. Who is going to be liable for the results of these tests? What happens if we have a false positive or a false negative? We already know that the reliability of the tests that are being administered at urgent care facilities and other medical clinics don't have the greatest reliability regarding positives or negatives. So how are we as educators to make that determination? Also, it's been suggested that we allow students to self-administer the swab. I have concern with students sticking a swab in their nasal passage. How do we know if they're putting it far enough? What if they put it too far in their nasal passage? What if they cause additional damage? Are we as a district going to be liable for those components? I'm also asking for further information relative to who specifically do they think should administer these tests? And my recommendation, and many other superintendents have recommended, that we have the nurses that have been assigned to our districts administer these tests, given that they have medical backgrounds and no other individuals in our districts have these medical backgrounds. So while it sounds like a really good program, we're grateful that they are providing these additional tests and supports. We do have a myriad of concerns relative to accuracy, accountability, and definitely liability. The superintendents are meeting with Brandy Johnson and Dr. Bagdasarian again on tomorrow. I've met with them twice last week, so I'm hoping to have additional information for you in the very near future.
Board President, I just want to draw attention to the fact that without pause, our superintendent gave us very reliable information to continue following the data as it concerns this return to school plan. And I just think that shows the commitment of this district to making sure that the best possible outcomes come from the administration, the data, and the science. So I just wanted to draw attention to the fact that we are a highly informed and highly data-driven school district.
Agreed. Agreed. Any other board matters?
Board President, I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'll be quick with it. I would like to recognize we have a number of principals that have obtained their PhD recently, and I would really just want to congratulate them on their high achievement. And it's a pleasure to have them working in our school district, we'll say. And then secondly, just a notice also that I've submitted a request for the summer and winter institute training as well. Just a notice to the board. Thank you.
Okay, anything else from any trustees at this time? Hearing none. Dr. Green, report of the superintendent.
Thank you, Board President. At this time, I would ask Nancy and Harry to join me in presenting. We are going to give you our preliminary recommendation relative to our return to learn plan. Please be mindful that this information from the governor's office was just released to us on Friday afternoon. We immediately drafted a very brief survey for our families as well as our staff to find out what were they thinking in this process. It's important to us that we are collaborative, and while we don't have all the answers, we simply want to take a temperature or have a temperature check relative to what they're thinking, what their concerns are, what remains unknown as we build this plane while we're flying it and fueling it and putting the wings on at the same time. So we don't have all the answers, but I must say that every recommendation that we have brought forth to you as trustees kept the safety, health, and wellness of our families, our stakeholders, our staff, at the forefront of our decisions. Some things are beyond our control, but everything that is within our control, we definitely put that at the forefront. So I know that you've received a myriad of questions from some stakeholders over the weekend and definitely on today, as have we. We are working through that process. We are not asking you to vote on this tonight. We would like to share our thoughts with you this evening, receive some feedback from you, and then ask that we have the additional 2 weeks until our study session to bring the final recommendation to you, as we are still trying to garner additional data points from the governor's office, from the state, et cetera. One of the things that continuously comes up is that of the vaccine. The state announced again on Friday that we as educators would have an opportunity to receive the vaccine. However, in my thorough investigation, I've recently learned that Oakland County as a whole received 5,850 doses of the vaccine, and that was for the phase 1A. Well, 1A was primarily that of individuals that worked in healthcare facilities and or our first responders. If that is what was sent for all of Oakland County, what amount of dosage, what allotment of doses will we receive for 1B? In Oakland County alone, we have 18,000 teachers. That does not take into account the administrators, the secretaries, the paraprofessionals, the custodians, the bus drivers, the food service workers, et cetera. We have 28 school districts in Oakland County. If you factor in all of those other employees that work within a school district, you can see how that number would quickly increase. I am working behind the scenes with some of our partners to see if Southfield Public Schools can have another means to vaccinate our staff, given that we have run a number of other vaccination clinics with our hospital partners. I am leaning into them to see if they, within the law, can afford our staff an opportunity to be vaccinated by our hospital partners. I do not have an answer to that yet, but I did want you to know, and more importantly, for our staff to know that we are working on this. We don't control the vaccination doses. You've seen it on a state and on a federal level, the issues that they are having relative to getting them in the arms of individuals in a timely manner. So know that we are working diligently behind the scene, But whether or not we receive the vaccine, the governor is still strongly encouraging us to be back in school in some form of face-to-face instruction by March 1st. So I did want to put that on the table before the team presents. So without further ado, Board President, if you would give Mr. Lake rights to share, and Mr. Patton and Ms. Nancy will be sharing the data with you. Thank you.
So, Ms. Norris, you are also a host for the meeting. So if you could help me, just in case I do step away, but I'll give it to Mr. Lake at this time.
Absolutely.
And I'll
Thank
just
you both.
Thank you, Dr. Green, and to the board president and our trustees, to our community. Good evening. This is Pam Anderson. So just wanted to do a brief introduction. Actually, Dr. Green said it all. So just wanted to be clear that this is just a preliminary recommendations. We realize that there are a lot of moving parts, that data is changing and moving literally every minute as we get new information. And so this, we hope that you can take and kind of analyze and be able to go through on your own time between now and January 26th to really dig into it, ask questions, things of that nature, clarifying questions and concerns, or anything that you have, so that the team can continue to work to make sure that we to do is best for our students and our families here in Southfield. So this is preliminary, subject to change based on a lot of data, but we wanted to at least provide you with something that you could begin to think about. Next slide, Eric. And so our focus for this plan, as we think about returning to learn, is safety, of course, but we're also adding to our focus the increased educational options for families. We realize that, we have all been in this virtual learning environment for a while now, almost a year actually. And so really thinking about, what types of options can we offer our families? As Dr. Green stated, Governor Whitmer asked that we provide some type of face-to-face. Does not have to be K-12, doesn't have to be all grades. We have to determine what that looks like, but what are the best options currently for our families here in the district? And so we've taken some time to really kind of dig deep and determine what those options could be for our families. And so at this time, Zerick Lake, Harry Patton, and Nancy Rzutsky will also present to you the rest of our preliminary recommendation for return to learn. Zerick?
All right, good evening, board, Dr. Green, our stakeholders. Thank you for joining us and going through this process with us. We appreciate it. And so I'm going to start with the return to learn proposed timeline. And this is just a timeline showing you how we feel staff should come back and the proposed students who are going to be a part of that and when they should come back. So as you can look at the diagram, we'll start with February 8th. And so we have unaffiliates, ESOS, and SASSA staff return full time to the buildings. So ESOS is our secretaries, SASSA is our principals, and the unaffiliates are those who work in central office in some capacity. February 22nd, all K-5 staff, SCA and MESPA, that's our actual our teachers and our paraprofessionals, KLC and BUSSY staff, they're going to return full time to the buildings during February 22nd. On March 1st, we have, as led by the governor or stated by the governor, and that's proposed, she wants us to have some type of in-person learning by March 1st. So on March 1st, we will start a phase-in process that week. We'll have more details about that coming. So grades K2 and BUSSY students, little steps, KLC and self-contained, that's pre-K through 8 for the self-contained, and the option to return face-to-face phase in this week. March 15th, we have our grades 3 through 5, next step, self-contained 9 through 12, option to return face-to-face in that week as well. So once again, March 1st, March 15th will be phased in. So it could look as if we would bring one grade back one day, another grade another day, but we will once again give you those details later on. March 22nd, all 6 through 12 staff members, that's our teachers and also our paraprofessionals, they will return full-time to the buildings to facilitate virtual learning on site in their buildings. On April 5th, grade 6 through 8 supervised learning labs open in buildings. And we're going to give you more information about those learning labs and what that entails. Here's our rationale. We came up, we want to have that the focus is on safety of our learning community and the quality of instruction. Adding in-person options for our most at-risk population, using the methods and strategies that are the least disruptive to the ongoing learning process. Added option of face-to-face instruction when the benefit outweighs the disruption to learning. Younger populations benefit from socialization aspects offered within a face-to-face learning environment and is an essential component of early and middle childhood development. I now present to you Mr. Harry Patton.
Good evening to the board, Dr. Green, and all of our stakeholders and community. So this focus is on grades 6 through 12. So for the older students, grades 6 through 12, they will benefit from receiving consistent academic instruction by maintaining the same schedule, same courses, and the same delivery of instruction, as well as maintaining the same teachers. After research, we assert that switching teaching models and schedules midstream would create a plethora of academic and instructional drawbacks that would potentially leave many students with academic deficits. Due to the mandate of the standardized testing schedules set forth by the state and federal government, bringing back all students simultaneously will not be academically advantageous to the student's learning path. Next slide. So here's a description of the 6 through 8 learning labs. The district is aware of the unique learning needs for some of our older students and their families. As such, we propose to offer the option of supervised learning labs for grades 6 through 8. These labs will be monitored by instructional support staff who will assist students with focus and redirection. Students will continue to attend their virtual classes with the rest of their peers. This allows families of students in grades 6 through 8 the option of a safe and organized learning environment for their child during the day. Next slide, please. So for future plans, once all of the planned reentry steps have been completed, the team will reconvene to determine if the district is able to offer more options to our older students. And Nancy, would you like to take the wheel?
You're on mute, Nancy. You're on mute, Nancy.
Thank you, Harry. And thank you for whoever just said that. I appreciate that. I am here to reiterate also what Ms. English said, that this is a proposal, a plan. It is a work in progress. As always, it depends on what the data says. But these are our proposed options for our K-5 parents. We would do a MyStar re-enrollment as opposed to another survey. They would re-enroll right in MyStar, and so we would have the data right there. This would be communicated to families via the classroom teachers. We feel that yields best results when it comes to getting data back. So the options for our K-5 families would be option 1, remaining fully virtual. Option 2 would be essentially a full face-to-face model with 4, possibly 5 days per week. And the next slide will explain the concept of how we would differentiate that depending on the data. And option 3 would be the district's choice. That would be allotted for families who have the flexibility to offer the district the option to choose for them in order for us to maximize our resources. If a family does not respond, their response defaults to the district's choice. All of the options contain the possibility of a change in teacher, depending on the outcome of families' choices and staffing changes. So how do we determine the factors between 4 versus 5 days a week? This is dependent upon the results of the MyStar re-enrollment initiative. Once we have the results of the families' re-enrollment decisions, as well as staff commitment to return, we will have the ability to determine between the following 2 options. Option 1, kindergarten through 2nd grade, and depending on the results, possibly grades 3 through 5, would return in a capacity of 5 full days of face-to-face instruction with 2 tracks of teachers, a virtual track and a face-to-face track. So that would entail some teacher changes for the students who remain virtual and some teacher changes for students who return face-to-face, depending on what staffing changes happen. In option 2, if we can't support 2 full tracks, grades 3 through 5, we're offering a possible alternative if needed, where we offer 4 full days of face-to-face instruction with 1 asynchronous day of learning on Friday. This would require the current staff to monitor their current class of students, so there would be no class changes, but they would be monitoring both virtual and face-to-face simultaneously. With this option, teachers would have to remain as a virtual teacher. They would just have children within their class and online. With this option, we would afford instructional staff the use of Friday as a day to prep and offset the workload increase and ensure students receive quality feedback and instructional planning time. And that is all dependent upon how many families choose full virtual and how many choose face-to-face. I believe that is all.
So Nancy, thank you. And Harry and Zarek, thank you all. And Pam, let me say this, trustees, we recognize that none of these scenarios are ideal. This is probably the most busy time for any school district in Michigan. And that is what we as superintendents, and we encourage you to advocate to your legislative officials at the state level relative to standardized testing. In a regular school year with no pandemic, during the spring semester, we are constantly rotating children in and out for standardized testing, the WIDA test, the MSTEP test, the PSAT, the SAT, the iReady, we had NWEA. So to ask school districts to return to face-to-face instruction in the midst of what is already mandated as our accountability window for school districts is virtually, I don't want to say impossible because our team has been known to pull off miracles, but it is a heavy lift. So we just want everyone to know that we are cognizant of all of the factors that are involved. I've heard from a number of people, and I know that you've heard from a number of individuals, that we may have to receive new students, or we may our students may receive a new teacher. I do have a slide that may help individuals see better. It's not nice and pretty like the team put together, that colorful one, but if you could give me the share option, I would just like to put in print what we're faced with. We have a certain number of staff, we have a certain number of dollars, and we are held accountable for being fiscally responsible for those dollars. We can't go out and garner additional staff. They don't exist. So we're trying to be mindful of all of these things as we have the conversation. So I'm going to go back to play from start. So this is a tale of 2 classrooms. If you have teacher A and teacher B, both assigned to South Elementary, both in grade 00, because I don't want people to leave this conversation and make assumptions that I'm talking about one that really exists, but this is all hypothetical. and one has 24 students and one has 26 students. 12 students in teacher A's class request to remain virtual, 12 request to return hybrid. In teacher B's class, you may have 13 who requested to remain virtual and 13 who requested to return virtual. Each teacher will ultimately have 25 students in the first scenario that we presented this evening. So how do we determine which teacher remains virtual and which teacher returns to hybrid? We can't say because people have developed a relationship with teacher A, and I'm a former elementary teacher, so I understand the importance of relational trust with your teacher, but we have to make a decision that will not make someone happy. And we're trying to make it using only data and using scientific evidence. But one of these groups would not be happy because one would eventually have to change a teacher. This is also my classroom, and I've heard this from some individuals as well. Not as many have posed this issue, but I did want to address it. At the behest of state officials, we are having to return. We are being strongly encouraged, that's the exact language, to return to face-to-face instruction by March 1st. So prior to March 13th, 2020, and the pandemic and the district closure, a student perhaps worked at Field Elementary. Notice one was South and one was Field. I tried to use some things that we could relate. And my classroom at Field Elementary was in the Q wing, classroom 000. Well, perhaps based on air quality, ventilation, square footage, student need, proximity to the wellness center, etc., we are asking teacher C to move a classroom to another wing of the building. The bottom line is, I'm hopeful that every recommendation we have made from March 13th, 2020 to present day, people know that every recommendation we make is for the safety and well-being of all. And we ask that people would be flexible. We are not trying to displace anyone. We are not trying to anger anyone relative to receiving new students or having to move locations. We have one goal, and that is to provide the best quality education for all in the safest environment for all. We have not lost one to date. We were the first district to step out and ask to go fully virtual. And then as everyone saw, the dominoes fell behind us. We are willing to make the necessary requests to keep people safe. We just ask that people continue the relational trust that we've had to date. And until we prove differently, that you trust the decisions and the input that we ask of you to be used exactly for what it is on face value. We have no nefarious motive. We have no hidden agenda. Our one agenda is to keep you safe and provide high quality education. So that's all that I wanted to share, because I know that that has come up on a number of occasions in the last day or so. Board President, I'll turn it back over to you for any questions.
Yes, Board President, through the chair. I can't hear you.
Yes, ma'am. Please
Oh.
proceed.
Thank you. Dr. Green, well, thank you for the thorough presentation. With the early on program being a home visiting program, I didn't see anything. I did see busing, but specific to the early on where the therapists are going out into the homes and or childcare centers for the children. Can you speak to that? How would that work?
I think we still have some looming questions relative to the safety of our teams that would be going out. So until we receive answers to those questions, we don't have that program framed in totality. Dr. Freeman, I know you're on the call. If you wanted to add anything to that, please do, but that has been a concern of ours as well. Dr. Freeman?
Yes, I am here. Having a little problem with my broadband, but there are protocols in place that give us very strict guidelines in regards to entering into the homes of our families. Oakland Schools has been working with our teams so that we can make that option available to parents. And again, it's just with that strong partnership and commitment from the families to make certain that items that we use when we're engaging with the students are only being used for that time. And we are, again, working to make sure that we have options for those families as well that are interested in having therapists return to, servicing students face to face.
Do we have any date? Thank you, Dr. Freeman. Do we have any dates in mind for when we'll know more about that? Or
We are definitely
plan-
looking at, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Dr.
I'm
Freeman.
sorry. Well, because they are our most vulnerable, we know that early intervention, it works. And so we're looking for them to be in that unit with our bussy babies as well.
oh, okay,
And
in the
I was
March.
yes, in the beginning, the March 1st timeline. So as we're building this plane, we're also building another plane, and that is the summer school plane. So we recognize that there's also been COVID loss. So our team is simultaneously building 2 planes to fly our district forward. So we're taking all that you say and all the feedback and questions that you ask. If we don't have an answer today, we will have a solid, firm recommendation for you on the 26th, and we'll be providing some information along the way to you. But we did not want to go another 2 weeks without you having our initial thoughts so that we knew if we were on the right path, not only for you as our governing body, but for our stakeholders as well, which is why we put out the survey to our families this past weekend.
I had another question as it relates to staffing, and certainly I know that this gets into the space of negotiation. So just please, answer as you can. Just wanting to know in terms of, you mentioned about teacher A and teacher B and the perception of what may have to happen with changes. Are there conversations and structures being put in place to make the best choices as it relates to honoring perhaps the medical needs or the preference of the teachers, or is that something being shaped? And do you have a timeline in regards to that?
We definitely always keep our partners at the table during these conversations, our partners being our union leaders, not just with our teachers, but with our administrators and our other bargaining groups as well. Again, we want to make decisions that are in the best interest of all, and that is something that Jolene Davis and her team are working on to ensure that how we make that decision is fair and equitable and not arbitrary or capricious.
All right, thank you. That's all I have, Board President.
Thank you, Trustee Smith Thomas. Any other questions, trustees?
Board President, if I may.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Green, as far as communicating with the teacher A and teacher B and all these different moving parts for both the staff and the parents and students, would we expect the teaching staff to communicate to us what will happen with our students as far as those who chose to be virtual versus hybrid versus in person, or will the communication come from the administration as far as if we'll have a teacher change or whatever, as you said, dominoes may fall? How will we expect the community to have that communication relayed, and also the staff, our teaching staff? How will that all play out for us collectively?
So that will come directly from central office in collaboration with the building level leaders. We would not put the onus of that on the teachers or on anyone else. So we gather all the data in a central hub, and we disaggregate the data to make the best decisions. There is also something that you stated relative to parent and communication. So this past weekend, when we put out the survey, we recognized that we put it out on a Friday evening after students were already logged off. So in addition to sending it out electronically, we also made sure that we had robocalls, we made sure that we put it out on social media, etc. We strongly encourage everyone, if you receive communication from us, please go on and respond as soon as possible, because we make decisions based on the information that you share with us. We don't take that information from our stakeholders and put it to the side and make a decision that is reflective of our own direction. We want that input. I'm very pleased to say that we had, I would think, when I last looked, there were 435 of the 525 staff members that had responded, and there were approximately 2,300 families that responded, but that still leaves 3,000 plus families that did not respond. And that's a significant number of families that didn't have their voice at the table. So when this next wave goes out, I am going to challenge everyone on this call to join me in the effort of ensuring that all of our stakeholders have a voice at the table and complete the form in a timely manner.
Board President, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
First, I would like to say to the parents and stakeholders that I feel confident that we are not in a rush, as it was put out by Governor Whitmer, that we have to be in full swing back to brick and mortar by March 1st. But with that said, Dr. Green, can you kind of guide my thought process as, will this affect any funding that comes from the state or the government if we are not back all? And that would be K through 12 by March 1st.
Thank you. That's a very good question, Trustee Ware-Duval. We will not be out of compliance. It will not impact our funding. The way that it is currently written, it's strongly encouraged. And also be mindful that the governor's direction was fully supported by every association in the state of Michigan. So the teachers union supported it at the state level, the superintendents union, well, we don't have a union, the Superintendents Association supported it at the state level, the School Boards Association supported it at the state level. So the governor had a large group of supporters when she rolled this out. Having said that, we don't always agree with our association, and I'm sure that there are some teachers that don't always agree with their union, but we know that this is the direction of the collective body. So as it's currently written, they strongly encourage as much face-to-face instruction as possible. And essentially what I would have to ensure as the top teacher for the district is that all of our facts and all of our data are there to support our rationale for why we could not bring back all of our children 5 days per week if we were ever audited relative to our recommendation to you. Because the bottom line is they could force us to go back, but if we had some mitigating circumstances that prevented us from going into a building or into a classroom, I would have to be able to prove those things to the auditing firm that came in to see what we were doing. For example, I learned late this afternoon, and I know we said no surprises at the table, but this is hot off the press, and it's not a bad thing, but it's literally what just happened. We went the extra mile in constructing our wellness rooms. Some school districts literally have 2 chairs separated by a shower curtain, and that is what they are calling, and this is true of some districts in Oakland County. So I'm not referencing another county, where they are considering this their wellness room. And if a student develops or displays COVID symptoms, they are simply going to separate them by a shower curtain. We did not feel that that was good enough for our students. We did not feel that that was good enough for our staff or for our parents. So we went the extra mile and our team constructed wellness rooms. Well, now this evening, we've been told that we have to send our plans for these wellness rooms to the state for approval, because technically we did construction or modified our buildings. So now they want an architect to look at these rooms that we developed, when simply we did this for the best interest of our children. And the rooms, as you saw when I showed the one previously, they are better than any wellness rooms I've seen throughout Oakland County. But these are the additional hoops that we must jump through in order to ensure that we are compliant and not subject to any financial penalty.
Any additional questions? Hearing none. Oh, sure, go ahead.
The survey for the parents, for the families, I know it's been sent out through email and other means, other communication. Where else can the survey be found for us to support in the efforts of having that survey completed? Is it on the website?
Mr. Lake, I'm going to ask you to unmute, because I don't know if we closed it, this current one, and are we issuing the next one?
So,
help me with
Dr. Green,
that,
it is open. I did open it back up just to get some more data. So right now we have about almost 2,900 responses from parents, and over 500 and maybe 60 from the staff. So it is open now, and so and that's just to get that information. The next time we send out something for them to say whether they want in person or virtual, we're going to try to do that actually through MyStar, and so that we can make sure we get 100% of everybody. So that's
Families should be encouraged to check their email.
yes, email, social media, and also principals should have sent out something letting them know whether it was through Remind or email. But Anika Corbett did send out some information in the month and I think her weekly email address on Friday night. But then something else went out again. So if you did not get I would tell parents if they did not get the survey, they should contact the principal or email the principal and get that information.
Okay.
You know what, Mr. Lake, to not inundate our principals, because our principals are already juggling a number of items, perhaps we open it for 2 additional days to afford those families that didn't get a chance to submit it that last opportunity to submit. And I know Anika is on the line, so I'm going to ask her to unmute and talk to us a little bit about what that would look like, because we want to capture as much as possible, but at some point we will have to have a hard stop so that we can begin to build out the program. So Anika, if you would please address.
Good evening, board. Good evening, community. Yes, with the survey that went out on Friday, it was in the district update. It was also posted on the alerts on our website, as well as sent to our stakeholders' emails, as well as phone. If we are extending the survey, I will repost it back up onto our district website. And I will still send out robocalls as well as emails, just as a push to get the information in, if you like.
And
So
Anika,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just wanted to say, I know when you go to the website, the cool thing about it is it'll be the first thing that pops up. So if you go to southfieldk12.org, it'll be the first banner you see or pop-up screen, so that you can just click right on it and get access to it.
So we currently have the veil still up for access to the survey. So we need to reactivate
I'm going to
it.
turn it back on.
Okay, let's turn it back on for 48 hours.
Okay, and then also if you have downloaded the app, it'll also alert you on your app notifications.
For the iPhone users.
I think we have the app in the Google Play, the Droid store as well.
Is it in Google Play now?
I believe so.
It is. It is on the website.
Okay, wonderful.
As well as Google, everything is up.
Okay, team, we cannot take over the board meeting. Okay, we cannot take over the board meeting. So let's go back to our board president and trustees. Before we have any other questions, board president, I would also like to mention that this is a coordinated effort, not only with from the academic perspective, but we also have a number of services that we offer to our students. We have our transportation and buses. We have the food service. We've really done an amazing job with our food service. We've taken food to people's houses. We've had pop-up stations for students to ensure that they're consistently receiving nutritional meals throughout this pandemic. So this is going to be a significant shift for our food service team and for our transportation team. So that is another reason behind us scaffolding in the students back to the district to ensure that we can continue to provide that high quality service, not only academically, but through our other support services as well.
Okay. Anything else, trustees, related to questions, statements, or any other comments? Hearing none, Dr. Green, monthly financial update.
Thank you, Board President. At this time, I would ask Mr. Mark Ingram to unmute and share our monthly financial update with the trustees, which you received a copy in your email if you wish to follow along.
Good evening, community, board, Dr. Green, fellow staff members.
Good evening, sir.
So, general fund, as of December 31st for this year, our revenues exceed our expenditures by 1.5 million. On the food service fund, as of December 31st, our expenses exceed our revenues by approximately 400,000. The student activity fund, our expenses exceed our revenues by about 29,000. In the debt fund, our revenues exceed our expenditures by about 2 million. Capital projects fund, our expenses exceed our revenues by 83,000. In our bond fund, our expenses exceed our revenues by about 840,000. Sinking fund, our revenues exceed our expenditures by 241,000. Our school budgets, to date, we have committed about 82,000 and have 473,000 remaining. Then we have our capital projects, just a quick summary of our ongoing projects. This is a summary of our grants. And our credit card transactions. Any questions I can answer this evening?
Trustees?
Yes, I have a question
Yes, ma'am.
through the chair. Mr. Ingram, there were a couple of the funds you mentioned where the expenditures were in excess or exceeding the revenue. Are we tracking to get them more aligned and balanced, or as it relates to the timing of the school year and the funding, or where are we with that?
So, for example, food service, and generally, you see we've only received 10% of our revenue this year compared to about 25% of our expenses. So we anticipate our revenues being more backloaded. Food service, we will balance at the end of the year. It might require a contribution from the general fund, but we will balance. Even when I say the yearly expenses exceed the revenues, the fund balance is the key. So even if this looks like a student activity fund, beginning this year, we have a fund balance of 381,000. So even if we lost $28,000 this year, at the end of the year, we will still have a positive fund balance. The fund balance.
Mr. Ingram, if I could also add, we've yet to do the mid-year amendment. So now that we know more of the variables, when we built this budget, be mindful that we built it on a number of assumptions. So now we'll be able to more closely align it to our actuals when we bring it back to you for the amendment window.
Thank you for that clarity. And also, as it relates to returning back into the building, which areas do we think will see the biggest shift? Food, transportation, how do we think that will be impacted?
So in terms of transportation, we need to work with First Student on an agreement about whatever plan we adopt. They have a contract and we have to honor the contract. They've been great so far, and no reason to think that we won't be able to quickly work out another agreement. Food service, we're going to feed everybody. We will do what we have to do to feed everybody. It might shift mainly for transportation costs. It might increase the budget more than we were anticipating, but again, we will cover it. And as our auditor mentioned on Paul Bryant, mentioned on Saturday, currently we have about 17% of our fund balance. We're healthy. We can, in order to feed people, we can dip a little bit into our general fund to make sure that everybody's fed, and if we have to incur a little more transportation costs, we'll do it.
And so I also want to be mindful that we mentioned that 17% that Paul Bryant mentioned was from last year's audited budget. That was not reflective of this year's audited budget. So we'll have much more detail to share with you when we come back for the amendment. We also have a meeting scheduled on Thursday with our new treasurer Shanti Bland, where we will sit down with her and go through everything that we have to date and be able to provide any additional clarity. So if trustees have questions, Treasurer Bland, would you like them to forward them to you and copy board president so that we can address those on Thursday as well?
You beat me to the punch. Yes, that would be awesome. Yeah, please do.
So when you're a team, you're supposed to anticipate the process. So I just caught the ball.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Ingram? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Action items. The chair will entertain a motion to open and approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Support.
I second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to open and approve the consent agenda. Any questions or corrections? Hearing none, Board Secretary, please call for the vote.
Trustee Bland,
Yes.
Trustee Joyce,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson,
Yes.
Trustee Rice,
Yes.
Trustee Ware Duvall,
Yes.
myself, yes. Trustee Hicks,
Yes,
unanimous.
motion carried. Chair will entertain a motion to open and approve Report 5933, Talent Management Personnel Action Report.
So moved.
I second.
Support.
It's been properly moved and seconded to open and approve Report 5933. Any questions? Hearing none, Board Secretary, please call for the vote.
Trustee Ware Duvall,
Yes.
Trustee Rice,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson,
Yes.
Trustee Joyce,
Yes.
Trustee Bland,
Yes.
myself, yes. Trustee Hicks,
Yes,
unanimous.
motion carried. Informational items. Dr. Green?
Yes, Board President, if I may, trustees, you also received some additional information in your email regarding the potential combining of a position for talent management. That is not on tonight's agenda. That will be forthcoming on the 26th. So that was just background information if you're wondering why you don't see that this evening. So I would like to begin with information items. We do have Director Janice Hill on the call. We may need to move her up to panelist. And she will talk to us more about Report 5934, the GSRP Classroom Creative Plan Materials for Indoors and Outdoors. And I see she's here. Director Hill, if you would please unmute and share with the trustees.
Good evening, trustees, Dr. Green and community. Yes, we have requested to purchase some additional materials for our classrooms. creative play materials for both the classroom, indoor and outdoor. And the reason why this request, of course, is being made later on through the GSRP grant is because we just received approval from GSRP and the state that the monies was available. And we used a lot of our Head Start monies, and we used a lot of the previous classroom materials to put in our virtual kits. So now that children will potentially be returning to school, we need to replace those items. So this is the reason why this request is being made. Is there any additional information that's needed?
Yes. Director Hill, what's the time frame typically for receiving these materials?
Usually we can have them within a week if the materials are not on back order. So, so myself, along with my my team members, we did look at a lot of the materials we wanted to order, and there are some on back order. However, they're on back order for about 3 weeks.
So trustees, with that being stated, my ask would be for us to consider making this report an actionable report so that we can proceed with procuring the requested items so that we can get them in as soon as we possibly can.
Thank you.
Did you all have any other questions for Director Hill? Hearing none, if it's the board's pleasure, the chair will entertain a motion to open and approve Report 5934.
So moved.
Support.
It's been properly moved and seconded to open and approve 5934. Any additional questions? Hearing none, Board Secretary, please call for the vote.
Trustee Johnson,
Yes.
Trustee Joyce,
Yes.
Trustee Bland,
Yes.
Trustee Hicks,
Yes.
Trustee Rice,
Yes.
Trustee Ware Duval,
Yes.
myself, yes, unanimous.
Motion carried. Dr. Green, Report 5935.
Thank you, Board President. Report 5935, I'll have Mr. Ingram come on to add any additional pieces. And we also have Ms. Venable, our new Director of Operations. This was her first week on the job, so she has joined us this evening as well. We are required by law to request an architect if we have projects over a certain amount. And this is for the replacement and repair of compressors in the ILC, which is our instructional learning center where the computers are. And then we also have the compressors that needed to be replaced at the University Middle School Academy. So given that they're over a certain amount, we are going to need to contract with an architect to ensure that we are aligned with the state requirements for these two projects.
Okay. Trustees, any questions?
I have a quick question. Based on the background that was provided, the excessive heat is putting our computer system at risk. Has our computing system been audited to ensure that it has not been compromised as of yet?
I would have to ask Mr. Ingram to answer that question. I don't know if it's been audited because we use Oakland Schools to provide our technical support. So I would have to follow up with them unless Mr. Ingram has the answer to that question. I'd also ask President Hicks if you would move up Ms. Venable. She could probably provide some additional information if you have technical questions about the compressors. That is her bailiwick.
I can reach out to Oakland Schools to verify or see if it's been audited. The big thing is the systems never went down. And that was our first goal, was to ensure the systems don't go down due to excessive heat. But we will check with Oakland Schools about the current status in terms of health of our computing systems.
Thank you, Mr. Ingram.
Board President,
Yo,
listen, I like to ask this question. So where is it on our priority list? Is it a priority?
Given that we're virtual, I would say it's very high on the priority list. We want to make sure that we don't have any technical, our technical platform isn't compromised, that we are completely dependent on this to be readily available for our families. So we are at the mercy right now.
So it's necessary to get started on this like right now. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I was waiting for you to finish your statement.
Okay. So Board President, should we make, Board President, should we make
Yes,
this
sir.
should we make this an action item tonight?
It's your pleasure. Yes, sir. So you know what's next.
So I move that we move report 5935 into an action item, and that we vote on it tonight.
I second that.
It's been properly moved and second to open and approve report 5935. Any additional questions?
I have one last question. So we've been paying $2,200 for, are we currently paying the $2,200 for a rental air conditioner?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. So yes, this definitely needs to be acted upon. Okay, thank you.
All right, Board Secretary, please call for the vote.
Trustee Joyce,
Yes.
Trustee Bland,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson, Trustee Johnson,
Yes.
Trustee Rice,
Yes.
Trustee Ware Duvall,
Yes.
myself, yes. Trustee Hicks,
Yes.
unanimous.
Motion carried. Report 5936, elementary school parking lot improvements.
Thank you, Board President. Report 5936 is a continuation of the conversation that we've been having relative to our bond projects. You already approved the elementary school parking lots be resurfaced. However, we held off on putting out the RFP until we knew if we were going to have to make any additional modifications to our buildings as it related to the coronavirus pandemic. Given that we were able to do those projects by way of grant dollars, we are now requesting that we move forward with placing the RFP for the repairs where Lake Adler and McIntyre and Vandenberg and Stevenson are concerned. So that would cover all 4 of our elementary parking lots.
Okay.
Board President,
Ma'am.
I'd like to move to open and approve report 5936.
Approve.
It's been properly moved and second to open and approve report 5936. Any questions? So I guess I have a question. Once we have the RFP and identify vendors, do we have a recommendation on when said projects should begin? Because we're dealing with parking lot pavement. I'm concerned about the cement work being done with the temperatures.
Oh, definitely the process that we have to follow with the RFPs, that takes time. We have to put it out for bid. We have to leave it up for so many days. We have to make the selection. We have to send the renderings to the state for their approval through Lara. It is a lengthy process. So we wouldn't get to these projects until mid to late summer at best. So I think we'll be okay relative to the weather.
Gotcha. Okay. Any questions or comments, trustees? Hearing none, please call for the vote. Board Secretary.
Trustee Rice,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson,
Yes.
Trustee Joyce,
Yes.
Trustee Bland,
Yes.
Trustee Ware Duvall,
Yes.
myself, yes, Trustee Hicks,
Yes.
unanimous.
Motion carried. Bill disbursement report.
Mr. Ingram, if you would please share your screen for the bill disbursement report.
Please give me a minute.
Actually, Ms. Norris, if you have it readily available, you could share.
I have it ready. Yes, ma'am. I have it ready.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
You are very welcome. President Hicks, I do not have the host key. Can you just make me host real quick or give me presenting rights? Thank you. Sorry.
Good evening again, everyone. In December, we had 3 payrolls totaling 4.4 million. We can go down, Laura. In December, we wrote accounts payables check totaling 2 million. In December, we had 3.1 million in wire payments or ACH for a total disbursement of 9.6 million. Any questions I can answer this evening?
One of the things that's important to note is we moved up the January 1st pay date by 1 day to ensure that everyone in the district was able to get paid before we rolled into the new year, because January 1st was the actual pay date, and that was a holiday and many people would not be in position to cash their checks. So we did move the pay date back 1 day to ensure that everyone in our district received their compensation in time.
All right, thank you again, Dr. Green and Mr. Ingram. Public participation. If you wish to address the board regarding a school-related issue that has not yet been resolved by school administration, please raise your hand. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. As a matter of fairness, speakers with complaints against individuals are asked not to mention persons by name. Complaints concerning employees pursuant to Board Policy 9130 should be brought to the attention of school principals or other administrators before coming to the Board of Education. Your cooperation is appreciated. All right, Mr. Sean Smith.
Oh, wow. Hello. Good evening, board. You kind of caught me off guard. I'm sorry about that. And good evening, Dr. Martin Green. The question I had was really about the protocol for when, and if students are back in the building, and there is an event of a COVID outbreak. What are the procedures in the event something like that happens?
So, Board President, I know that we typically don't respond, but if it's the pleasure of the board, I would like to share some information with Mr. Smith.
Please.
We are going to do a number of videos sharing with our families all of the protocols that we are putting in place or that we have put in place. We are doing this in partnership with the Oakland County Health Department. We are also working diligently to ensure that we don't have an outbreak. So there's the case of an isolated incident, and then there's the case of an outbreak. So if we have an outbreak, it would look totally different than if we had an isolated incident. So we will share all of those protocols with our families. We will also have a number of power hours, which are our monthly parent forums, to afford our families an opportunity to ask questions, where we will also have our nurses on hand to address those protocols as well.
Thank you very much. Andrea Wright.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to say thank you to everyone that's on the call who voted for me for school board. Even though I didn't make it, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And it's a breath of fresh air, I have to say, tonight, hearing professionalism, integrity, respect, and dignity as we conduct our meetings. This is awesome. So thank you. Couple of questions. Now, for the survey, if both parents get a respond, do both parents have to respond, or would that throw the count off? Because we both, my husband and I both actually got received an email. So do we both have to? Then the next question, have we ever received 100% survey completion by our district? And then my other question, do we know how to look at the survey by grade level to see if it's the younger kids' parents that are not responding, or is it the older kids' parents not responding? And then the fourth one, is there some way we can get students involved where, students push parents? So I don't know if there's some type of incentive, and I know this is a virtual learning, but we have to think of some ways where we can push the kids to push the parents to respond. And that's it.
So, Board President, I'm going to try to remember all 4 questions, but I may I may need them repeated. So the first one I think I recall is, if both parents submit the survey, we do have a way of removing any duplicates. The problem is, if both parents don't agree on what the request is, that puts us in a difficult spot, where one parent may say we want to stay virtual and the other parents say we want to go back to face. At that point, we would probably lean into the latter survey that was submitted. So we do ask that we try to eliminate any duplications.
I would give you another lens to maybe consider. We may have some stakeholders who are part of split homes. So, your point will be duly noted if both parents are living within the same household, but in some cases we have maybe one parent has one perspective, whereas another one does not for the same student. I would just say, every response we get, let's just count it.
We will count it, but then when it comes time to place the child, it makes it a little difficult for us. But
at that point, we have to probably deal with the, unfortunately, the legality of,
so we look to the custodial parent, correct? Right. And we do have that marked in MyStar, so we would lean into that. We also have asked the teachers to put the link in Schoology to try to ensure 100% completion. We've never, under my tenure, had 100% completion of the survey, but it's already back up based on our conversation this evening. The team moves swiftly, so it is currently up and available for families to submit. Also note that the final registration will be through MyStar. So even if there is a conflict within the household or the split household, when you go through the MyStar process, that will be the final determining factor relative to where the student is placed. Grade level breakout, we do have information that we're able to see which schools and which grade levels, and then parents to urge children, or students to urge children. Well, we really want the parents to make the decision, because far too often children are making decisions for their own education without parental input. So we are strongly encouraging the parents to be actively involved. We do work closely with our PAC group, with our area council, PTA, and with all of our parents. So we encourage the parents to submit that information in a timely manner.
Okay.
I think I captured them all.
Ms. Sheila Edwards.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Very informative tonight, so thank you all. I don't know if I missed it when I looked at the slide for the proposed timeline for potential in-person instruction, but do you have a tentative date when you are going to make the final decision on all of that?
Would that be our study session?
That is correct. We will have the
On
final recommendation.
On the 26th of January is when we'll make the final determination.
Okay, thank you.
And then also, Board President and trustees, it's important to note that the law still requires a recommendation come to you every month, every 30 days, for you to continue either supporting the recommendation or any modifications. So it's very possible that on the 26th, we can bring you a solid recommendation based on the data, and then we get some new information from the federal government or the state government by the February meeting. And then here we'll come back to you in February and appear to not have our ducks in a row, when truly it is the fact that we are dependent upon data points coming from outside entities as we make these recommendations. So it's not as if we're not keeping up with everything. It's simply that it keeps changing. So February, before we get to March, it may be something different.
So community, what I'm getting from that is stay tuned. And we'll make you aware as soon as we are made aware and can assess the impacts to then propose additional proposed changes as necessary. All right, I don't see any more. Oh, one more. Sue Philbin.
Yes, thank you. I just want to confirm in the options that were mentioned earlier. So there will be potentially, you gave the example of in the K-5 classrooms, there will potentially be 25 students in a classroom at a time without the social distancing factor.
That was hypothetical.
Yeah.
Right, but I was just curious. I'm sorry.
So let me also address that. The social distancing guidelines have changed from that of 6 feet to 3 feet. So every recommendation that we make will be in accordance with the current CDC guidelines, including that of social distancing. So the 25 was hypothetical for the example provided this evening. However, we do have some classrooms with social distancing that could accommodate 25 students.
Okay, I don't see any additional hands raised at this time. The chair will request a motion to go into closed session.
I motion that the Southfield Public Schools Board be released to go into a closed session.
I second.
Trustee Ware Duval would have to read, yeah, he has to read that whole spiel.
So don't take this as a this is training day for the new trustee.
Got it.
So one of the things that we do is we move. So you would say I move that, then you would read that statement on the agenda.
I move that Section 8C allows the school board to meet in closed session for the purpose of strategy and negotiation sessions connected with a collective bargaining agreement, and either party request a closed hearing. Section and Section HA or 8H of OMA permits closed meetings of a public body to consider material exempt from discussion or disclosure by the state and federal statute.
Support.
It's been properly moved and second for the Southfield Public School District to go into closed session. Board Secretary, please call for the vote.
Trustee Ware Duval.
Yes.
Trustee Rice.
Yes.
Trustee Joyce.
Yes.
Trustee Johnson.
Yes.
Trustee Bland,
Yes.
Trustee Hicks,
Yes.
myself, yes. Unanimous.
Motion carried. So community, we will be going into closed session. And once we come out of closed session, we will have for the good of the order. As of now, I'm going to announce what our future meetings are going to be. Future meetings will be January 26th, 6 p.m. It's going to be a special board meeting. And then our regular board meeting will occur in February on Tuesday, February 9th at 7 p.m. Both will be virtual meetings. And you're free to stay on this line. Trustees, in your email, I've sent you a information regarding our closed session. So at this point, we would just go from this meeting to the other one and then come back to this one once we're out of closed session. Thank you all who remain, and if not, have a good night. Okay, for the record, we are officially out of closed session at 9:17 p.m. on January 12th, 2021. Do we have anything for the good of the order?
Board President, I would like to share that we were able to confirm that a doctor from Ascension Healthcare, as well as one of the nurses from Oakland Health Department, they have agreed to host our Power Hour in the near future so that our community can ask any questions that they may have relative to the COVID vaccines. So we will get that scheduled on the 27th of this month.
Okay. Anything for the good of the order, trustees?
Yes. Well, first, I want to thank, get my camera here, thank Dr. Green and the team for the aligned agenda. For the new trustees, I would like to extend to you take this as an opportunity as we're in January, and in December is when we will we'll evaluate the superintendent. The way the agenda is set up with the strategic goals aligned, this will give us 12 documents, if at minimum, and that's if we're looking just at the regular meetings. But this will give us the documents to refer to as we look at those strategic goals being met. And I'm certainly grateful for that. It was nice to be able to use them kind of as companion documents, if you would. Also, the MLK Task Force this year, activities are still moving forward. However, they will be virtual. So there's a virtual program and a parade. You all may have received invitations to participate as elected officials and community members. I just want to state that on the record here for the viewing audience who are interested in participating. Go to the website for additional information. Also, Board President, I wanted to ask, especially since we're now in January and we have our newly elected and appointed trustees, I wanted to bring back the committees, particularly the community relations, which I know that was something that I always that I champion, putting that in place, the instruction and curriculum committee, and also the finance committee for consideration. And if we, as well as look at if we want to move forward with further developing our board protocols, and if we want to do that in a form of an ad hoc committee, I would like to champion that. That's all I have.
All right, so I'm not opposed to any of those. Just note that, for the new trustees, typically with these committees, we cannot have more than 3 trustees on a committee because of that. If we did, that would establish a quorum and would be considered a meeting. But to all trustees, if you could just voice your interest in any or multiple or one or multiple committees as subcommittees that you may want to participate on. You don't have to give your thoughts now, but if you could send me an email so that we can start forming committees as proposed by Trustee Smith Thomas. Anything else for the good of the order?
I have something real quick, Board President. Today I was emailed by a doctor from Medical Center Pediatrics willing to donate boxes of face shields to Southfield Public Schools. I was able to contact Dr. Green. She gave me Dr. Beebe as a resource. He immediately jumped on that, so hopefully we will have some face shields delivered to the administration building as soon as possible. So that was really awesome. And the other thing I just wanted to, I'm glad Trustee Smith Thomas brought up committees. I think Board President, you and I had spoke about that and I had inquired. So I'm excited to hear about that and I'm excited to get involved. I think it would be apropos for me to show interest in the Finance Committee, but also Community Relations, since I think that we are building a great foundation for our community. And lastly, I just want to give props to McIntyre Elementary. They've experienced a ton of loss. And I just would like to say that their teamwork was so seamless and their dedication to the kids during that time of trying to make sure they had coverage for classrooms was just a valiant effort, and they did it with grace and class. So I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that while we've all experienced loss, but educators have to keep the show going for our kids and still put on smiles and be engaged. And I have witnessed that firsthand. So I just wanted to let the community know that I'm watching our schools live by the motto, "We are Southfield."
Anything else, trustees?
Yes, can you hear me, Board President?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I just want to commend and thank the new trustees, Ashante Bland, Amani Johnson, and Ware Duvall for completing their first meeting of the year. They did a great job. Thank you.
So I agree. So to Trustee Johnson and Bland, only 71 more to go. As far as official board meetings, and to Trustee Ware Duvall, you got about 23 more. So hang out. Anything else? Hearing none. Meeting adjourned at 9:24 p.m. Thank you all. Well done. Talk to you all soon.
Good night. Be well.
Good night.
Good night.